and he
Right.
goes into the safe sex is great sex, better wear a latex bit.
Yeah.
And he gets to the last line, line of that bar, and Wayne just goes, I said that. I said, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. Hello, gamers. It is Cuddlepunk once again. Happy New Year, everybody. It's a new year. It's a new vibe. It's a new kitty co-host, everybody. This is Wyatt. He's the new co-host of the show. He'll probably not do a damn thing, but it doesn't matter because we've got an incredible guest today. I have known this guy for several years. He put out the absolute best hip hop album that you did not hear last year. KILLVONGARD is on Cuddlepunk today. Vince, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. We're just gonna get right into it, I think. So you grew up, I think I remember you saying you grew up closer to like the south side of Chicago.
So yeah, it's the southwest side. It's like the south. If you look on the map, my neighborhood is a little rectangle on the. If you go down and to the right or into the left, I'm a little rectangle right by Midway Airport.
And you've been here your whole life, basically.
My entire life, yeah. I was 58th in Austin. That's where I grew up, and then just shuffled around a little bit after that. But and then into my adulthood, just been surfing different neighborhoods, pretty much.
So how did you get started in hip hop growing up in that neighborhood? Like who got you into it and what was the stuff that he was getting you into? He or she was getting you into?
So like it was kind of like an isolated like thing. Like I didn't have any like brothers or sisters. Like I was an only child until I was 10. Um so like I was getting before I started listening to rap, I was just listening to like NSYNC and like Britney and like just pop boy girl groups and shit. And then I started getting into like Disney Channel, like because you know how all the Disney Channel actors were like singers as well.
Oh
So I'd be
yeah.
listening
Like
to
you were at
them.
like the first like you're like a little bit older than me. You were at like the first part of that, like the Ryan Gosling, the Timberlakes, and like the Britney and Christina and all that shit.
Pretty much, yeah, like late 90s, like into the early 2000s. And then after that, I transitioned into like, so I was listening to like soundtracks, pop music, and then I transitioned into WWE music. Like I had all the CDs, like the Anthology, which was like the Golden Era, the Attitude Era, and then Ruthless Aggression. Like it was a triple CD. And then I would just buy every new drop, and I would just be listening to wrestling theme music in my CD player. But then I think my cousin Tina, she had put me on to like, I think Limp Bizkit or something like that. And I was like, this is crazy. I was 7, you know? And then I don't know, I don't remember why, but I think it was because of her. I was going through her CDs and I found the Slim Shady LP, and I was like, this looks fucking scary. I was like, but I'm interested. So for my 8th birthday, I took my birthday money. My mom took me to Circuit City, and I got a little CD player, like a portable CD player, and the Eminem Show was my first rap CD. The edited one, of course. She wasn't about to let me listen to that shit. But that's where it started, man. And then from there, 50 Cent, and all my rap music was like informed by MTV, basically. Like whatever they were playing. So like the snap music of the mid 2000s to the Houston stuff. Like I was huge on all of that. Like whatever they were playing on that was what I was listening to. And then I was pretty, like I said, like alone. I only had like maybe one other friend who was listening to rap music. Everybody else was listening to like probably like, I don't know, Green Day and fucking, whatever it was. I was a little bit alone in that regard. And then once I got to high school, I started meeting more people who were like into the rap, and it was becoming more acceptable, I think. And you know what I mean? Just like as a whole, like, cause right as I went into high school, the Carter 3 came out. So like that was like huge. That was a big moment where everybody was like, oh, this rap stuff is kind of good.
That clip of Wayne reacting to the latex bar on Lollipop.
No.
Somebody is
What
like
what is
reading
it?
his own bars to him because he freestyles all of his shit, and he
Right.
goes into the safe sex is great sex, better wear a latex bit.
Yeah.
And he gets to the last line of that bar, and Wayne just goes, I said that. I said, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. It's incredible. Wayne
Dude,
realizing
because
what a
he
genius he is.
Yeah, because he's recorded so much music. Like I'm like, how do you know? Like, and he doesn't write anything down, so it's just like
He
into a
also hasn't
void.
toured since like I want to say the Wayne versus Drake tour, so it totally makes sense that he
Really?
doesn't remember any of his shit.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. I never saw him live.
I don't think I did either.
I
I'm
really want to.
hoping Drake is rumored to be headlining Lala this year, and I don't love the dude as a person, but there are enough songs that I do need to see the crowd reaction to live.
Yeah, I saw Drake in 2012.
Oh shit.
Um,
Like before Take
yeah,
Care.
like right, I believe right after Take Care. So maybe no, or was it before? I think it might have been right after.
No, you're right.
I don't know.
2013, I'm thinking
Yeah,
2013 was Nothing Was the Same.
right. I think 2011 was Take Care. Am I
I think
right
you're
there?
right, yeah.
So I saw him at after that, and Waka Flocka opened for him, and that shit was ill. I love Waka
Yes.
so
I love
fucking
Waka
much.
Flocka. I'm
Incredible. Yeah,
he needs a resurgence.
dude, he does. He just did an interview with Shannon Sharp
Oh
that
hell yeah.
dropped like yesterday. I saw a clip. It was like it seemed like really, really good.
I'm gonna have to check
Yeah,
that out.
absolutely. But yeah, that's like a little introduction of how I got into this shit. Just TV and cousin, basically.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So last year you put out I Think I've Lost It, which again is
Hmm.
the best hip hop project that you did not hear last year. Everybody needs to go stream I Think I've Lost It. It's 24 minutes. It's so good.
I
Um
appreciate that.
so but before you put that out, you were exclusively, and we had talked about this, you had been exclusively posting stuff to Bandcamp. And this is the
Yeah.
first thing that's your solo thing that you released on Spotify. What made you want to put this one on Spotify first? And then what have been like the pros and cons that you've seen from both of the different services?
Well, if I'm being honest, like the reason like I didn't put anything on Spotify because there was no need to, because no one was listening. So I was like, I'm not gonna pay to put my music up if I'm not gonna have anybody listening to it, you know? So that was really the only reason why. And I wasn't planning on doing it for this either, but it had a little bit of a moment and like people found it and I was like, well,
You're
I
constantly
probably
retweet. Like
should.
people are talking about I Think I've Lost It like constantly. Like people love this thing.
It's fucking weird, man. I just like wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean? But luckily, yeah, it resonated with people, and like it's funny because like I got super like specific and personal on it, and that's what resonated. Like you would think that casting a more wide general net would like get more people, but it's often the opposite. Like the more specific and personal you get, the more people are like, I feel the same way, and I'm like, really? That's wild. So that's why I put the shit on streaming, was because I knew more people were looking for it, and I just wanted to make it easier for people to find. And then if they want to buy it, hit up Bandcamp.
I think hip hop is so interesting in that sense of being able to be so personal because I've
Hmm.
tried writing music and I feel like hip hop is the only like real genre that you can really be like as direct as possible and you kind of don't need to like you can just be like screaming or talking like exactly what you're thinking and not have to put any meta. You can if you want to, and you obviously do, but you can just be as direct as possible with it.
Yeah, like I've noticed that like a lot of like like say like singer songwriter stuff, right? Like it's very it's like it's literally poetry. It's like super like metaphorical and like it's beautifully written, like, and also like there's just not an like rap has so many words. You know what I mean? Like a rap verse makes up like half of a folk album word wise. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I guess it's like, I guess because I guess you just have to be more like choosy with other genres of like what you're gonna say, and like there's the whole melody aspect of it too, which like it has to fit the melody, and like it needs to, there's like that's something that I have no idea. Maybe I'm wrong there, like, but I don't, because I don't sing, but yeah, yeah, it lends to especially like my style because I'm very wordy and I just say a lot of shit. You know what I mean? I'm just like very much like stream of consciousness, even though it is very meticulous though. But I'm just like fucking spitting, going, getting everything off my chest. And yeah, and I found that like I used to like really try to do like the whole like puzzle piece thing where it's like these riddles, like these locked riddles. Yeah, and like I learned, and even like deeper than that, like Aesop rock, you know what I mean? Like old school Aesop rock. And then I just kind of had a little revelation of like, well, sometimes I'm just gonna say exactly what I mean because like that's poignant, you know? Like, and then you know, and then you can get weird afterwards. But like sometimes you just gotta say what you mean.
I
Yeah.
want to kind of get into one of your lyrics actually. So this is off Digital Hoffman, where
Yeah.
like halfway through the song you mentioned they'll turn you into an NFT. And
Yeah.
then later on you go into, because when I heard that I was like, okay, well, I don't know. That line's really funny in 2022. I don't know how it's going to play on later. But then literally later on in the song, you go, although I have noticed that when someone's tweet goes viral as of late, and as of late being 2021, because I know art lives on and life's a flat circle, you literally brought it up as I'm saying it. What is the process behind throwing in like a modern reference where you're not sure if it's really going to like, if it's going to land later on? What makes it, is there any sort of like vetting process that you have for stuff like that?
Mm, that's a really good question. I don't know. Well, because I usually I feel like I try to stray away from immediate references like that, and because I said that, I was like, there needs to be a disclaimer here. You know what I mean? I was like, I need to put this here, like, because yeah, that's very much something that like I don't want to date stuff, you know, like
Like,
You don't want it to be like,
I listened to
you don't want it to be like My President is Black or shit like that, where that's like dated as soon
yeah.
as
Right.
as soon as he's out, you know, like I listen to a lot of like music from like the 2010s, and I'm like, damn, these references just don't land at all because it just doesn't matter anymore. And like Eminem is like,
Horrible with that. Like, because he's still making references to stuff that was relevant like before he got sober. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about?
dude,
You know?
I saw Eminem in like 2018, like before Kamikaze, but after Revival.
Wow.
And
Interesting.
it was a very weird show. And I stayed there all day for him. And I got sick
Yeah.
that day because it was the one day where it was like cold and rainy at the festival. And literally after that, I think after that day, I'm like, I've tried going back to a lot of the stuff. It doesn't hit the same. It really does not hit the same.
nah, man,
Man, like especially like
like I remember
I remember like being an edgy little kid and showing people like him, like to like prove
yeah,
how like cool and edgy I was. And
right.
I look back on that now, I'm like, huh, I was a little shit, huh?
yeah, that shit was horrific, man. And like I remember like being like 16 and like emulating like him and like early Earl Sweatshirt and like Tyler the Creator, just like writing horrible stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like just wanting to be creepy and like weird, you know, and scary. Like definitely fell into that.
You know,
I
You know
revisited
what I mean?
Goblin by Tyler pretty recently because I realized it was like 11 years old last year, which was
yeah.
horrifying to
Yeah.
me. And I'm like, because that's what's weird is that the albums that like I was listening to in high school are now getting to be 10 years old, which absolutely sucks. But like, no, I was listening to Goblin again, and I was like, I don't like what he's saying, but I sure do still know all the words.
It's weird, right? It's weird. I feel that way about a lot of like Eminem stuff. I'm like, oh, I know this by heart because I listen to this so much. It's just implanted.
We're talking about CDs a little bit earlier. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this like because you're my friend. State of Physical Media was this close to making it onto my top 15 songs list that I put out on Instagram last week. Like
Damn,
that
dude.
song blew my mind because I know you and I know how into that collecting side of things you are.
Yeah.
What was the thing that like got you into collecting and reselling?
So my grandfather was like a career reseller. He like all throughout the 90s he owned like multiple like sports card shops throughout the city. Like he had like 5 at one time. It was during the Jordan boom, so it was just going, you know. And then they all closed down at like the turn of the millennium because like I feel like it just like there was a real like downturn. So all throughout my childhood, I would just be with that man, just like riding around, going to thrift stores, and just like so he like implanted that into me like so young, and it was just always a part of me. And like I literally just it's just what I do. And like he passed last year, and like me and my mom were like going through his stuff, like and just the shit that he just had, dude. He was just a collector, like coins from like the 1800s and just like weird shit, like just strange books. And like I don't know, it was just yeah, I don't know, he definitely like implanted that into me. And just like I don't know, I just always thought it was so sick when I would like go, because he lived with us, like he lived with us throughout my whole life. So like I would always just like go up and see him when he lived upstairs, and then he ended up living downstairs in the
In the
basement.
basement. And I would just like go into his room and amazing, just like a library. And I was just awed by it. And like now as an adult, because I mean, I have to reset it up, but like I'm looking at all my shit and it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's cool. And there's a story with everything,
Totally.
all these pieces. Like
That's how I feel
it's,
about
I don't know. It's a deep thing, man. Yeah.
total. No, I totally get that. Like, I don't love either of these two Brockhampton albums that I have the like box sets of, but they're also two of the last things
Mhm.
that what was at one point my favorite band will ever put out. And I feel like I have to like
Right.
hold on to them at a certain point.
Yeah. I there's just some things where I'm like I need to have this, and like
And I guess the song was like me coming to terms with like, well, you really don't like, and if it's like affecting your life this negatively, where you like can't pay your bills, like you gotta chill, dude. Like like that shit really can
I
fuck.
mean, like yeah,
You were
yeah.
talking about when you were talking about your grandfather, you were talking about how the Jordan boom, like once that ended around the turn of the millennium, like the stores started closing. Something that I've noticed just about living in Chicago, and I bring this up because you talk about the city so much on the album. It kind of feels like Chicago's popularity comes in waves rather than other cities
Mm,
like New York or LA, where they're kind of like always have their thing going on. It feels like there needs to be like a really big figurehead for the city, like MJ or a Kanye or a Chance, in order to really put a
mm,
spotlight on the city.
That's a really good point. Wow, that's a really good point. And I never thought about it like that because I just lived here. So I was just, that
Because
is
dead
a
ass,
really good point.
because dead ass, the Cubs winning the World Series and Chance putting out Coloring Book were the reasons why I chose Columbia and why I came here. Like it felt like something
No
was
shit.
happening in. It felt like something was happening here, man. I don't know what it was.
Wow, dude, I didn't know that.
What dead ass.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. There's always been like I take it for granted sometimes, but like it really is there's a magic here that I don't know, man. I just I've always just I've loved it, and I've never really wanted to live anywhere else. Like it's just, part of it is just because it's all I know, but like I look at people who live in LA and New York, and I'm like, that fucking sucks.
I'm
you
moving
know,
to LA in
um,
2 years. I'm not. I'm like looking forward
ooh,
to it and not looking forward to it at the same time.
yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Like, the opportunity, like, especially for somebody like you, I mean, like, that's, there's opportunity for real out there. Like, I don't know what the industry is like here as far as like acting and stuff like
Oh,
that
I
goes
gave up
out
on
here.
acting. It's just because I'm
Oh,
just going out there to do this and wrestling and shit. I bring up the stuff about Chicago because it's very clear how much love that you have for the city that you grew up in. Like on OK Coffee Maker, when you're like that throwaway, like, what the fuck happened to Wicker Park? Like, there's so
Yeah.
much emotion and just disgust in that line that can only come from being so enthralled with what something used to represent. And I really do appreciate that about how you call out the city. It also comes about small steps when you're talking about like the city that you rep on all your gear. There's a
Yes.
love and a disgust that you can feel through your music. What does the disgust come from? Is
Like,
there
this is
anything more ironic than Chicago having made over $3 million on speeding tickets when this year they are putting a damn NASCAR race in the middle of the city?
Wild. So it's like shit like that. And then like also this is a really hard topic because like I mentioned, I forget what song it is, but like I make like a lot of references to like the people that come here and just turn it into what it isn't. Like transplants. Like it's hard because I have a lot of friends who are from other places who came here, but like but have respect, you know what I'm saying, for where they're coming and not trying to turn it into some bullshit. Like you walk through Wicker Park, man, and it's just like, what is this fucking place? Or like a lot of neighborhoods, and you're like, what is this? Like, and I just talk to the people that like come here and like, you know, I won't say where I work, but at my job, I deal with the public a lot. And most of them are from wherever they're from, which is fine. But like they come here and then they just have this weird, like, they only think that Chicago is like downtown and all the surrounding, you know, neighborhoods that actually make up the population.
The people who
of
have
the
never been on the
city.
CTA in their life,
Right.
who Uber everywhere.
Right. Like they just forget about them. And like these TikToks of these fucking assholes who work in some skyscraper downtown at a fucking marketing firm. And they're like, my day in Chicago. I don't know. I just like, you know, we had a meeting and then we were done for the day. So, you know, we went to West Loop and like, then we did this and then we did that. I'm like, I've literally never done any of this shit. Like this is not for it's tourist shit. And like you literally moved here to be a tourist. It's weird as fuck. And then you're going to be on some, yeah, I don't know, man. River North is like kind of scary now, man. I've literally heard people say that shit. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like literally fuck you. Or I'll have a conversation with one of these assholes and they'll ask me where I'm from and I'm like, I'm here. And they're like here? And I'm like, yeah. Like where? And I'm like, southwest side. Like, oh, so like in the suburbs? And I'm like, no, it's here. And they're like, oh, but like not in the city. I'm like, well, not downtown. Like you don't need to live next to big buildings to be from here. In fact, the city is wide.
Like long. Like
They literally
it
had to
goes a
make the
lot of
city
ways.
bigger to bring in the airport.
So you know what I'm saying, man? Shit like that. I just have a lot of, and on OK Coffee Maker where I say what the hell happened to Wicker Park, that was literally an anecdote. Like somebody said, like I was at 7-Eleven one day and the clerk said that shit, like because somebody was like tagging across the street,
Right.
And he was like,
what the hell happened? And I'm like, I don't know, you tell me. Like before, you know, like what happened way before this shit.
you know,
Totally.
you know.
No, I get you completely.
It's just ironic and super funny to me.
And
then also I think I mentioned like dispensaries too, and how they're all run by these fucking enterprising white young men with pompadours.
I will never, ever buy from a dispensary, and you can say I will keep this part very much so in the video. I am never going to buy from a dispensary while there are still black people in jail for marijuana.
Right. And these fucking doofuses who have the capital to get it started and no criminal offenses so they can get the fucking license and all that shit. Man, fuck you, dude. I try not to hate people, but like a lot of people just piss me off.
Living by Wrigleyville, I have to walk through it a lot to go to like shows at G-Man and stuff. The weed smells corporate. Like there's just a weird thing about it, man. It feels like it's like that one SpongeBob where like marijuana is supposed to be made but with love, not on a conveyor belt.
Oh shit, dude.
Oh my god. No, I feel you, man. It's true though. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm always gonna try to support local, if I can. Like
you know what I mean? Like real local.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Support your Devil Dogs isn't local. Your local yellow sign spot is.
Devil Dogs. Honestly though, low key though, like Devil Dogs, their vegan dogs are actually really fucking good.
I have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's everything I've got for you, man. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome. Where can we find you?
So Instagram, Twitter at KILLVONGARD, KILLVONGARD on both of those. And then from there you could just hit my link tree and everything is in there, and you can find them whatever you need to find, or just Google me, and you'll find a bunch of shit.
One thing I also forgot to mention that is also available in that link tree. Vince and our buddy Ray did a movie together, which is, what's the name of the movie one more time?
Pawn.
You can find that in KILLVONGARD link tree. Watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I did the score for it too.
He also did the score for it, so you got to watch it now. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like. Please comment down below who you want me to interview in 2023. Thank you so much for watching. Vince, thank you for being here. This was great.
Thank you, man.